For several expansions in a row, I've been feeling like I'm getting more easily accessible resources than I actually need, and I'm probably opening my packs inefficiently. Over the past few months, the Hearthstone team has once again introduced significant changes to the game's economy, and this should prompt rational players to reconsider their long-standing habits. Today, I plan to shed light on the new nuances in the progression system, define the updated cost of a complete collection, evaluate the usefulness of all 3 pre-orders under these new conditions, and explain why now might be a unique opportunity to return to the game.
Time to rock and roll!
Hello my friends. My name is Bot Mathematician and this is Hellomancer.
Also, Chief Investigative Reporter Dora joined us this evening.
Gadgets and Gazette always gets the scoop. Guys, it seems the fragile balance between free and paid resources has finally been shattered. The stream of free rewards has broken through the last barrier. Honestly, it feels like Blizzard's leadership has effectively killed the need to pre-order anything at all.
Looks like it, Dora. And it might just be the best kind of advertising for a game that's long suffered from an undeserved reputation of being too expensive. The devs have taken yet another step toward increasing the amount of freely available rewards, even though nobody really asked them to this. We're here today to equip you with all the essential information for the upcoming The Lost City of Un'Goro release, ensuring you don't overspend on new packs.
I can't believe we're making a video about Hearthstone being too generous, but that's the truth, and it's impossible to ignore. Spoiler alert. Pre-orders are no longer a necessary part of the economy if even your goal is to complete a full collection. If you're a consistent player who usually buys one of the pre-orders, you should stop spending your gold on packs and start looking for alternative ways to invest that resource. Furthermore, if you're a free-to-play player or someone who only purchases the Tavern Pass, you should also consider redirecting a portion of your gold away from packs. The current situation has opened a unique window of opportunity to get back into the game, because the entry barrier has never been this low.
Let's cut to the chase and start breaking it all down step by step. Guys, I've gone ahead and updated your spreadsheet, and based on your math and the current phase of the expansion, I've estimated the total amount of rewards players can expect to receive throughout the next expansion phase, assuming they engage in all activities without putting in too much effort. These calculations are based on a scenario where the Lost City of Un'Goro phase lasts 18 weeks, and all earned resources are spent exclusively on crafting new cards. The total cost of the full set is estimated at the equivalent of 332 packs, including the mini set. As before, it's often enough to play just 1 hour every 3 days, or 20 minutes daily, to earn this amount. By the way, actual playtime itself will only net you rewards equivalent to about 6 packs. The most important source of resources will remain quests. These can bring in 8,600 gold via the rewards track, equivalent to 86 packs, which is just over a quarter of the total cost of a complete collection. That's nearly the same as buying the normal pre-order bundle. In general, most resource sources should remain unchanged, with the exception of event rewards. The Into the Emerald Dream phase set a new record for generosity. Assuming the reward volume remains the same, it would be equivalent to 46 current packs. The value of event rewards has increased. On top of that, we saw free giveaways through the in-game shop. For example, the signature version of the Curator could be disenchanted for 1600 dust. We also saw the return of the legendary quest chain as an additional reward source. In the end, if we account for all possible rewards, you'll still be short by the equivalent of 32 packs and the mini set to complete the full expansion collection. Assuming you were lucky enough to get a signature and a golden legendary, which of course, is never guaranteed. This shortfall can be covered either by playing an additional 2.5 hours daily or by purchasing the Tavern Pass for $20 and the mini set for $15. So even the cheapest pre-order bundle no longer makes sense from a rational resource investment perspective. And if you do go for a pre-order, you should reserve some gold to invest in other areas.
Dear viewers, we've put a lot of effort into this research, and we'd greatly appreciate your support with a like.
So, for the first time ever, we've reached a point where a full card collection is nearly free for consistent players, and can be earned in the simplest way possible, without any extra effort. Unfortunately, rewards from event categories aren't guaranteed, even though they've shown steady growth from one expansion to the next. At the same time, under real conditions, players can extract far more unaccounted value by exploiting the flexibility of the progression system. For example, by manipulating standard packs, creating an infinite arena ticket loop, or accumulating extra copies of cards to disenchant after nerfs. All of this makes buying pre-orders no longer a rational choice, at least not for regular players. Since 2015, starting with the announcement of the Grand Tournament, pre-orders have been a deeply integrated part of monetization and were conditionally balanced with free rewards. They offered clear advantages that were hard to pass up. A fast start. Pre-orders allowed early access to new playstyles and significantly increased deck variety. A discount. Buying bundles was more cost-effective than purchasing packs individually. Prestige. The appeal of exclusive cosmetics, like hero skins or card backs, served as an added bonus. Completing a collection. Hearthstone is a collectible card game, which means that assembling all the cards, even the useless ones, is part of the progression. Pre-orders didn't just make this goal easier, they made it possible, because players had no guaranteed way to finish their collection through purely free means, no matter how much time they invested.
Early access is a relatively new benefit tied to pre-orders. It lets you use cards from your packs a week before launch during the pre-release Tavern Brawl. The more packs you open during this period, the greater your range of deck options, and potential competitive edge.
And finally, but no less importantly, there's a desire to financially support the ongoing development of the game. As a free-to-play player, I've never spent money on in-game resources, but I've made small purchases guided by this exact motive. Without financial support from the community, the game simply wouldn't survive.
In essence, the motivating factors behind pre-orders haven't changed, but their emphasis has shifted significantly due to the gradual liberalization of the economy and the dramatic increase in free rewards. If you're a player who pre-ordered once, and then retained gold for the next 4 months to buy packs for the following expansion, then congratulations. You've already secured your early start for free. In that case, the good deal price of pre-orders becomes irrelevant. The appeal of collection building also starts to fall apart, especially if your goal isn't to collect every single legendary, but only the useful ones. With a rational approach, you're guaranteed to get everything you need. What's more, completing your collection at the beginning of an expansion completely devalues most of the free rewards you'll earn throughout the expansion phase.
Prestige could still work as a motivator, but even that's questionable. Paying $80 just to get a card back and a hero portrait is a terrible deal, especially now that cosmetics have lost much of their value due to the overwhelming flood of items in the in-game shop. In the end, the only reasons left for regular rational players to purchase pre-orders are the desire to gain an edge during the pre-release Tavern Brawl and the willingness to support the developers.
The overall increase in free resources has drastically devalued individual components, especially card packs. The more packs you open, the less valuable they become. A pack is truly worth 100 gold only if it still contains cards you actually want. Once you've obtained everything you care about, that same pack is essentially worth just 100 dust, cutting its value down by around 2/3.
There are conditional thresholds of usefulness for all packs, and they're highly personal for each player. But if your goal is to build a broad collection, that threshold kicks in once you start receiving duplicate epic cards. For example, that conditional limit hits for players who buy both pre-orders and the Tavern Pass at around their 200th pack. These players will have enough resources to complete the entire collection, assuming they got lucky with signature and golden legendary cards. For players who only purchase the Tavern Pass, the threshold tends to come after 205 packs. This amount allows them to collect all epic cards in the set, especially if you factor in the free epics given away throughout the expansion. A full legendary collection is not guaranteed, but you'll usually open around 14 legendaries and earn enough dust to craft another 5. Add to that 2 promotional cards, 2 random legendaries from the rewards track, and 1 legendary for purchasing the Tavern Pass, and you end up with an average of 24 out of 27 legendaries. For free-to-play players, you'll need to open around 225 packs to collect all the epics and approach that threshold. Be careful. Opening packs beyond these limits becomes almost pointless, even for dust farming. It's much more efficient to buy packs that still have potential usefulness for you, and at the same time give you crafting resources.
In reality, though, the practical usefulness threshold for card packs can be much lower, and you may reach it faster than you expect. Every epic card you craft reduces your rational pack threshold, not to mention the fact that many players don't even need all epic cards. For the second expansion in a row, I've tried to buy fewer packs at launch using my gold, but by the end of the expansion phase, I still start getting duplicate epic cards. That means I overdid it. I bought more packs than I actually needed. As a result, without grinding, without extra effort, and without spending money, I'm receiving more resources than I'm willing to use, and my dust count keeps climbing.
We've noticed that ever since the release of Whizbang's Workshop, the drop rate for epic cards has noticeably increased. Maybe this is a coincidence, but if it is intentional, then you'll need even fewer packs to reach your rational limit. For example, Dora has been averaging 1 epic card per 4 packs for the 2nd expansion in a row, and that's why she hits her value threshold much faster.
Because it's now so easy to reach those limits, the new arena rewards feel even worse than players already think they are. Even for most free-to-play players, let alone premium ones, there's simply no need for additional card packs. In a world where free resources are abundant, arena rewards quickly become just 100 dust instead of 100 gold.
Yes, in theory, with enough skill and a lot of effort, you could expand your collection as much as possible early on. But in doing so, you'd undermine your own future progression and devalue the free rewards you'd otherwise be earning during the expansion phase. So, without a way to cash out your gold from a run, Arena has lost all of its strategic advantages, saving only the fun and thrill of the gameplay.
Now that we've cleared up the key points about pack limits, we can finally move on to the question of whether pre-orders are worth buying. We've been steadily expanding our comparison chart of historical pre-order value, so we can better visualize how things used to be, versus how they are now.
This time, we added data from the Fractured and Alterac Valley expansion. If you include rewards track bonuses and promotional cards, completing a full collection in late 2021 required opening 212 packs plus buying the mini set. The main contents of each bundle haven't changed much over the past 4 years, but the variety of bonuses given to Mega Bundle owners has changed significantly. While these items had no impact on the traditional Hearthstone collection, they clearly show how much the game's philosophy has shifted. Back then, Blizzard encouraged players to explore different Hearthstone modes. Now, the focus is almost entirely on Standard. If we convert all valuable items from the bundles into pack equivalents, we'll see that the Mega Bundle wasn't all that efficient, at least from the perspective of expanding deck options in Standard. Each conditional pack cost 80 cents, which wasn't the best deal for acquiring useful resources, especially since the normal pre-order bundle offered slightly better value. 70 cents per pack and access to roughly 31% of the full collection. Over time, bonuses from other modes gradually disappeared, and even the recent inclusion of arena tickets seems more like an incentive to participate in the pre-release Tavern Brawl than an attempt to draw attention back to arena. That said, the value of modern pre-orders is clearly higher if your goal is to expand your Standard capabilities. Both the regular and Mega Bundles offer about the same amount of useful resources for Standard, but the Mega Bundle also provides additional aesthetic value in the form of a hero skin. The regular pre-order covers around 30% of the resources needed to complete a collection, while the Mega Bundle covers nearly half. The third, hidden pre-order has now become a tradition. It only becomes available after you've purchased both main bundles. Like last time, this offer has terrible value in terms of expanding your competitive power. The average cost of its useful resources, measured per pack equivalent, comes to $1.03. That's an improvement over the previous expansion, where developers offered early access to a diamond card instead of a second signature legendary, something that held only aesthetic value after launch. Overall, this third bundle might make sense for players trying to build a premium collection of golden and signature cards, but in that case, the 30 standard packs it includes are only valuable for the pre-release Tavern Brawl.
If you buy all 3 bundles for $190, you'll end up with about 94% of a complete card collection. If you also grab all special items from the rewards track. But as a means of acquiring competitive power, this level of investment is excessive. Sure, you'll get nearly everything right at launch, but you'll also devalue almost all of the free rewards you'd earn during the expansion phase, and you'll accumulate a massive surplus of dust. The only reward that retains its value is gold.
To fully understand who can still benefit from buying pre-orders, let's outline a few general recommendations. You should consider purchasing a pre-order if you're a sprinter, someone who values an immediate early game advantage, including access to the pre-release event, and you don't mind that your subsequent free rewards will lose some of their usefulness, and lead to a surplus of resources.
You should also buy pre-orders if golden and signature versions of cards hold special value for you. Aesthetic value can't be measured mathematically, but it's very real. If you don't play consistently throughout the expansion phase, pre-orders can help you keep pace with more active players. If you prefer not to spend your gold on packs, then pre-orders are a solid alternative. If your collection has gaps from previous expansions, or if you're also building a wild collection. If you're a new or returning player. If you want to support the game's continued development. And finally, if you're looking to optimize your spending in the long term, you can purchase the current pre-order and start saving gold to secure a strong start for the next expansion, without needing to spend money again.
Every player's situation is different, and you alone must decide whether pre-orders make sense in this new environment. But in our opinion, for most regular players, buying a pre-order now leads to resource overflow and devalues many of the free rewards you'd otherwise enjoy during the expansion. To avoid this, you should open fewer packs using gold, and start thinking about other ways to spend your coins. I can't believe I'm saying this, as a free-to-play player, but I might even start considering buying hero portraits with gold just to avoid reaching my rational pack opening limit.
Personally, this time I plan to open fewer packs with gold, track the number of epic cards I receive, and, if my drop rate remains above average again, I'll hold on to at least 1000 gold to eventually buy a portrait in the future.
Overall, we're very happy to see the game becoming more generous with each new set. Even before this shift, Hearthstone had one of the fairest economies out there, and now it's practically burying players in resources. At the same time, this excessive generosity could become a problem down the line and undermine monetization. That's why we don't fully understand the logic of Blizzard's leadership. On one hand, they seem determined to increase the game's financial efficiency, yet on the other, they're dismantling the very purpose of pre-orders, as one of the most important components from a commercial point of view. In our view, the negative side effects of increased rewards could have been avoided by adding incentives for completing a full expansion collection. That would have created additional value for packs, blurred the rational thresholds, and given players a reason to make purchases in pursuit of a complete set. We've been talking about this need for years now, but instead, the leadership continues to move in the opposite direction, devaluing full collection ownership.
At this point, all that's left for players is to embrace the generosity, and get as much value out of it as possible.
Dear viewers, before we wrap up, we'd love to hear from you. Have you noticed that event rewards have become more valuable lately?
Do you feel like you're experiencing a resource overflow? Has your time spent playing Hearthstone increased over the past year?
Let us know your thoughts below and join the polls in your community tab. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to support our content and stay updated.
Traditionally, we want to express our boundless gratitude to our sponsors.
Dear friends, your help is invaluable. We will be grateful for any support.
Okay, that's all for today. Thank you for spending this time with us. We really hope that we will have the opportunity to get in touch in the next video.
Take care of yourself.
And never give up.
Job's done.